How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be doing a replacement of this crappy LCD screen that's in this laptop. I freaking hate it. Any angle is just terrible. And you basically have to be sitting directly in front of it with it completely flat in order to see everything at its natural color. Otherwise you're just going to get this weird distortion, and it's terrible. It's terrible, Lenovo. What were you thinking? Anyways, so I went ahead and ordered a new IPS screen for this laptop. I'll put the details here on screen. This is the model number and what it's called. It's an LG screen. I'll put the links in the description below so you can go click on it and go get your own screen if you're looking to do this. I've been to forums all day today to figure out the best way to do this. There's even a manual on the Lenovo website on how to do this, but even they don't properly tell you how to do this. So I've kind of had to guess and kind of like research it myself and figure out how to properly replace the screen. So as a lot of you know, there's a lot of videos out there on how to replace this screen, but they're not touch screens. This one is a touch screen. So not only is there not a bezel here, it's just a digitizer and the LCD is glued behind it. Now what I don't 100% know is if the entire screen is glued to the digitizer. I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping just the corners, and we can just take a heat gun and get it off and replace it pretty easy. So if you're ready, let's go. Let's dive into this. Okay, so I have already taken out all the screws in the back of this computer. So there's about 12 screws in all. So after you just take out all them screws, put them off to the side. I have a magnetic ball that I just stick them to so they don't get loose. After that, the plate should just pop right off, just like that. There's really nothing to it. So after we get that off, there's going to be quite a bit of things that we need to disassemble. There's going to be the two speakers that need to come loose and been moved to the side so we can get the hinges off. You're going to need to take off your Wi-Fi adapter and just kind of, because the Wi-Fi adapter is completely connected to the screen. Also, you want to pull out your LCD main plug that goes into the motherboard, and that's about it. And then the LCD should come right off. Well, the LCD frame should come right off. I'm going to start by taking off the speakers. It's just one screw up here on top, and it's going to be like a pancake screw, real tiny. After that one screw comes out, you just kind of wiggle it out. It pops out just like that, just so you can get at those hinges and just to get it out of the way. For that, we have the Wi-Fi adapter here. You got the little bit of tape up here. I just kind of like tape it to the side here, just so I remember where it's at. You got two plugs here that you can either pull off, or you have a screw, and it kind of comes out exactly like your RAM does. There's one tiny silver screw, and as you can see, it popped right up, and it just slides right out just like that. Now when that slides right up, you're gonna have it course through this little canal wires right here, and then after that it just goes straight back to the brackets back here for the monitor. Okay, so I decided to move it into a different position so you can see better. After you get that speaker out, just move it to the side. This will be your Wi-Fi adapter that I showed you how to take out, and you're just going to move that to the back because it comes back here by the hinges. And then over here you're going to have another screw where the speaker is. Just right here. You're going to take that screw out, put it to the side, and then this speaker will just pop right out. Now you can start taking out the hinges. So start doing that. So now that you took off the screws from the hinges, you can now pull off the pin. You can do this either before or after. I just chose to do it after. You have a slight little tab here. You can see it here in the corner. It has a little tab on top of it. You're going to pull that tab, just kind of nudge it to the left and right and pull up, and it should come right off. Be real careful not to damage anything in the tab or on the motherboard, because otherwise you would just have to buy another laptop if that happens. So be real careful. So now that you got all those components out of the way, go ahead and pull back on the top part, and now it'll just come right up and easy out of the way. Okay, so now that we got the screen here, you have a small tiny little cover, like a little tiny bezel that you need to pop off at the bottom of this. So you have a split here. If you have a tool like this one, or anything like a guitar pick or anything similar, you can use a credit card or whatnot. You're gonna go ahead and push it in between that line and kind of just push back or forth, and it should come undone just like that. Just be real careful because this is real fragile and it can easily break. It's just all snapped on. There's no screws holding this on, so it should be fairly easy to pop this off. Okay, so now that you have that bezel off, you have two screws right here and one right here and one right here. You have to take these two off, and then you have to pull this screen towards the back plate here. You have to push it up here. On the manual on Lenovo website, they tell you to push it. Let me show you. On the website, they tell you to take out the number 2 screws, which there are 2 screws here with number 2s on them. They tell you to take those off and then push the screen upwards. That is not what you do. You can damage your screen if you try to do that. I think that's intentionally what they try to do, so you would have to buy it from them. What you do is you take those 2 screws off I just showed you, and then you push it back, and then you have to slowly work it up from the edges as you're pushing it backwards. So we'll go ahead and take these 2 screws off here, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so now that we have those screws out, you can see now I can push back and it moves. So the main LCD is moving back and forth. So we have to push it back that way. So from the hinges, you're going to push it towards the hinges, and then you're going to kind of lift up on the sides at the same time. But you have to kind of work at it because it's not just going to lift up on its own. So you got to kind of back and forth motion until it comes off. And then, I don't know if you can see, I have to move it back and forth and lift up at the same time, and it comes up just like that. And it'll do that all the way around until eventually it just comes right off. So once you do that, this is what it looks like from behind. Let me get you a good view here. So this is what it's going to be like when you get this up. Your LCD screen is not going to have any screws on the back plate. It's completely glued to the digitizer. So in order to get this off, we're going to need a heat gun, and we're going to just have to work at it and slowly get this off. The first thing you want to do before you try any of this is to take off all your connections from the LCD screen, which is one here, and then you have a couple more up here on the digitizer. You're going to want to take off that entire harness in order to do this, or you're going to rip your cables off, and you really don't want to do that. So the first tab you're going to want to take out is the connection to the LCD. So you have this piece of tape here that you need to work out just until you can peel it off with your finger. So once you get the tape up, you're just going to pull backwards. Slowly, gently, just tug it out and it comes right out. It doesn't go straight down, it goes from the back end. So that's pretty simple. Again, try not to bend anything. It's really fragile. So now that you got that out, you're going to slowly pull out the cord off of the main LCD screen. So you don't want to pull these wires while you're trying to disconnect the LCD. So it goes all the way up to the top and connects up here. So you're going to have to disconnect these two. I'm going to slowly pull this off of the side here until I get there. Okay, so this one's going to be a little bit trickier. This one goes in this way, and there's really nothing to pull it out with, and I don't want to pull it by the cord because I can rip it out. So I took a really precise flathead screwdriver, and I'm slowly going to push it out this way. So it plugs in this way, comes out that way. So Just gonna nudge it in there in between and slowly push it out just like that. I just broke it. Good job. Okay, so what I thought I just broke was just a small metal aluminum piece on top of what needed to come out. So I nudged it out. It's completely fine. That little metal piece was just really easy to come off, and it just snaps right back on top of it, so it's all good. And so after you get that one out, you have the wire going towards these two ribbons. Don't worry about those because it's actually not connected to those at all. Yep, definitely glued on. So there you go. That's the camera. It's got glue all on the front of it. That's the wire harness completely off of the LCD screen. So now we got the LCD screen free. So now we can start working on getting the LCD off of the back plate here. That might be the hardest task here, so let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is get my IPS screen and kind of just measure and make sure that it's the same exact size, has the same pins down here, make sure everything's gonna line up before I take off the other screen, just so I know 100% that it's gonna be the same screen. Okay, so everything seems to be lining up. Pins seem to be exactly the same. It's the same size. Yeah. Everything looks good. But now let's see how stuck this LCD is to the digitizer. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that tool, that same tool, and just kind of wedge it in between a corner and see what happens. So I'm going to choose this corner. I'm just going to kind of wedge it in the corner here, in between the digitizer. And I can care less what happens to this LCD screen. So if I crack the LCD screen, I don't care because it's garbage. No one should ever have to use an LCD screen this bad. All that paper that I pulled off, this was all the backlight stuff that just came right off easy. Now after I pulled that off, I noticed that the chip stayed, and I was like, this isn't right. Well, that's because the LCD was glued to the front of the digitizer. Yeah, because I noticed it broke here, so. Yep, you guys, it looks like the entire front of this LCD is glued to the front of this digitizer, so this is going to be hell to get off, so I'll come back when I got most of it off.
Two hours later.
Nope, narrator guy, I didn't get that far. Come back later. So I'm about halfway through getting this glass off. In the heat gun, I have a razor that I hold in with I hold it with these needle nose pliers, and then I use the tool to put behind the razor, and I just kind of push inside of the glass and I kind of just break it off. So that's what I'm doing. Yes, it looks very nasty on the digitizer, but I have Goo Gone. It's a spray that's for this, especially for this residue of the glue. It will clean this right up like if it was never there. So it looks bad, but once I get all this glass off, I'll clean it up and it's gonna look 100%. You're not gonna believe what just freaking happened. The freaking camera fell down and knocked a freaking hole in my touchscreen. So that sucks. The good news is I'll still be able to use the IPS screen. Didn't need this. This was pretty much, I just wanted to keep my touch capabilities. But no, the camera didn't want me to keep that, so that's a fail. So trying to save the touchscreen, it was a complete failure. Oh well. But it's not all bad. I was able to take off all the glass off the front of the digitizer and save the frame so that when we close the laptop, we still have the rubber pieces here that will lay against the laptop instead of the screen itself. I'm still going to put the screen into my laptop because I need to use it. I'm just going to put this around it and order another basil or whatever to make it look nice. So this is going to go on for now until I get something new ordered. And yeah, it's not horrible. I really didn't use the touchscreen much, but I would have really liked to have kept it for just to know that I have it. But whatevs. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting this back together. Gonna put the IPS screen in there. I'm more excited to see the IPS screen than keeping the digitizer. I really don't care. So let's put this back together. So even though I managed to mess up the touchscreen, it's still operable. I plugged the screen in and it's working perfectly fine. And it looks so good. It's a matte finished IPS. And the angles are just so amazing compared to the other LCD screen. Very nice. And the solution to my problem now is to just order a new bezel and backplate for this laptop. It's a bit pricey, but it's definitely better than what I got going on now. So yeah, my LCD is being taped down right here in the corners because there's nowhere to put screws in. The backplate isn't made for this kind of configuration, so I would have to buy the backplate and a new bezel for the non-touch versions of the laptop. And I'm fine with that. I hope you enjoyed me destroying my touchscreen and with some succession. I am actually really loving this matte finish and this IPS screen. It looks 100% better than the other LCD. So much better. The colors look more vibrant. I'm loving it. Totally worth what just happened here. Alright guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.